in the Weekend Doug Update studio shows Norm Macdonald and Charlie Rocket sitting behind the Doug Update desk. Macdonald: Hello, I'm Norm Macdonald. Rocket: And I'm Charlie Rocket, and here's the dead news. Macdonald: Bud Light's marketing VP, Elisa Heinerscheid, has reportedly taken a leave of absence following calls to boycott the beer. Replacing Elisa Heinerscheid is Adam Heinerscheid, a recently transitioned trans man. No relation to Elisa, although they do share the same vagina. Philip Seymour Hoffman as Joe King comes out and says, Cut! Macdonald: What's the problem, Joe? Hoffman: Come on, Normie, I want to stay away from poking fun at the trans community. We don't want this program to be labeled as transphobic. Macdonald: Transphobic? Why, I'm not scared of trans people. Hoffman: Well, maybe you should be, okay? They have quite a powerful lobby these days, and I don't want to keep stepping on those chick sticks, okay? What do you got for us, Rocket? As Hoffman leaves the stage, Rocket says, At Disneyland, a giant 45-foot dragon burst into flames Saturday night, sending parkgoers fleeing. When asked why he burst into flames, the dragon said that his whole life he felt that inside he was really a flamer, and it was time for a change. Hoffman comes out and says, What did I just say, Charlie? Stay away from trans jokes. Rocket: I think that one was more of a gay joke than anything else. Hoffman: Well, be that as it may, we want to stay away from joking about that whole community, okay? I want this program to be a safe space for LGBTQ. To that end, I want you two to meet Coco Dadal, a black transgender sex worker who was recently killed in Atlanta. Coco Dadal comes out. Applause, applause, applause. Hoffman: Okay, I want you two to finish your segment with Coco out here keeping eyes on you two. Okay, action. As Hoffman leaves, Macdonald nervously looks at Coco and says, President Biden ordered the evacuation of U.S. embassy staff in Sudan amid worsening fighting between the Sudanese armed forces and an armed paramilitary drag show. Dadal: Excuse me? Macdonald: Wait, I'm not done. The trans men in the paramilitary group have reportedly converted their old tits into rocket launchers. Dadal: Oh, hell no! Hoffman comes out and says, Jesus Christ, Norm! Jesus Christ comes out. Applause, applause, applause. Jesus: Why are you dragging me into this, Mr. King? Hoffman: It's Juris Dr. King Jesus. Anyway, now that you're here, can you talk some sense into my transphobic news team? Rocket: Jesus, isn't it true that the Bible says trans people are an abomination? Jesus puts his arm around Coco Dadal and says, It says nothing like that, Charlie. What it does say is that I always loved and supported marginalized people. Rocket: Well, yeah, but doesn't the Bible say that if a man lies with a man as with a woman, it's an abomination? Jesus: That's the Old Testament. My pops might have been kind of old school, but I never said anything like that. I love everybody for who they are, and I don't judge anybody based on who they want to be or who they love. Hoffman: You know what, Normie and Rocket, why don't you two hit the showers? I don't care which locker room, by the way, and we'll let Jesus and Coco finish out the segment. Macdonald, Rocket, and Hoffman leave the stage, and Jesus and Dadal go behind the desk. Jesus: House Republicans are abandoning a years-long push by their party to pass a federal abortion ban, a remarkable shift from their previous stance. Meanwhile, the lawmakers' balls are promising a primary challenge next election cycle. Hoffman comes out and says, Jesus, Jesus, are you a pro-lifer? Jesus: It was just a joke. Relax, you square. As Hoffman leaves the stage, Dadal says, Now joining us is the recently departed Australian comedian Barry Humphries. Barry Humphries comes out as his female character, Dame Edna Everidge. Applause, applause, applause. Humphries. Hello, possums. I'm so happy to be here. Doll. Can you tell us about yourself, Miss Everidge? Humphries. Well, of course, Dal. I was just your typical Australian housewife. I spent my time visiting world leaders and jet-setting between my homes in Los Angeles, London, Sydney, Switzerland, and Martha's Vineyard. I was a friend and confidant of Queen Elizabeth and advised prime ministers and presidents. I once took an on-air phone call from President Ronald Reagan to assure him that he was indeed still the president. Dow. That's wonderful. However, your quote manager, Barry Humphries, had previously made comments that were transphobic in nature as they stigmatized gender affirmation surgery. Do you care to comment on that? Humphries. Oh, darling, I fired Mr. Humphries years before he made those silly comments, but he always refused to accept dismissal. Humphries was just missing the plot and deserves our pity, not our dismissal. Dow. What do you mean by that? Humphries. What I mean is that when someone has a problem with what someone else is doing with their own life, so long as what the other person is doing isn't hurting anybody else, then that first person having a problem with it says a lot more about them than it does the person that they have a problem with. And dead from the earth, we're not alive. It's Saturday Night Alive, starring John Belushi, Chris Farley, Bill Hartman, Jen Hooks, Norm MacDonald, Gilda Radner, Danitra Vance, and with many other special deceased contributors. Musical guest and host, Ray Charles. Everybody, Ray Charles. Applause, applause, applause. Shows Charles sitting at a piano who says, thank you very much. I was blessed to have a wonderful career as a musician that spanned over 50 years, and I was known for pioneering soul music by having combined several different genres of music, including blues, jazz, R&B, and gospel. And while I was at ABC Records, I became one of the first black recording artists to be granted artistic control by a major record company. Applause, 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 Charles. And in 1977, I had the privilege of hosting SNL in its third season, and Buck Henry, Madeline Kahn, Hugh Hefner, and Charles Grodin all come out. Applause, applause, applause. Charles. Now, who just came out here? Grodin. I'll handle the questions, gang. It is I, Charles Grodin, movie star extraordinaire. Charles. Okay. What are you doing out here during my monologue? Henry. Well, Ray. Grodin. Buck, I said I'll handle the questions. Now, Mr. Charles, the producer of this show seems to be going through the old Saturday Night Live episodes and having the deceased former hosts host this program. Charles. Okay. Grodin. Well, the last episode of this show had on Julian Bond, who hosted SNL towards the end of its second season. However, in between the times that Mr. Bond and you hosted SNL, Mr. Henry, Miss Kahn, Mr. Hefner, and myself all hosted it as well, and we're all dead. Charles. What are you getting at? Grodin. We're not leaving this stage until we get some answers from the producer as to why we were skipped. Philip Seymour Hoffman, as Joe King comes out and says, come on, Grodin, not you again. Grodin. And what is that supposed to mean? Hoffman. Here, I heard your concerns backstage, okay? But if you didn't notice, the four of you have all and Henry all pull out shovels and hit Grodin on top of the head with them and drag him off stage. Hoffman, hit the road, Jack, and don't you come back no more, no more, no more, no more. Hit the road, Jack, and don't you come back no more. Hoffman turns to Charles and says, sorry about that, Ray. I didn't mean to ruin your monologue by getting revenge on Charles Grodin. I hope it didn't upset you. Charles, that's okay, Joe. I didn't see nothing. As Hoffman leaves, Charles says, folks, we have a great show tonight. I'm here, and as you'd expect, I got Georgia on my mind. We'll be right back.